Hi, my name is Parksen, and this is another Ordinary Fathers. I'm talking to an ordinary father this morning, and his name is Chris Choo.
Hello, very good morning to everyone. Hi, my name is Chris. Thank you so much, Parksen, for letting me have an opportunity to really share with everyone how's my experience as a father. I've got two kids. They are 14 and 11. Two girls. Wanted more, but eventually, for reasons like many of us would know, lah, having kids not easy, lah, expensive, very grueling. Eventually, I stopped at two. I work as a property agent. I must say the work is even more grueling. But I guess when we into tough work, we start to envision what are we working so hard for. Lah. Then when we come back home, we realize, oh, these are the two little ones that come grabbing on your leg. I think that's how work and family will start to intertwine together with greater purpose.
I think that is really a strong motivation, isn't it? In fact, I've come across studies, that says that men, when they become fathers, they actually work longer hours instead of less hours. So if there's such a thing called maternal instinct, maybe this is the paternal instinct, that we want to really do our best for our families. That's great. All right, two girls. Wow. Okay. And you're not trying for a boy?
Oh yeah, that happened 11 years ago. Right.
Oh,
So,
okay.
well, for obvious reason, a boy and girl would always be a perfect like match, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, However, when my second one came out to be a girl, internally I had this bliss that yes, another girl.
Okay.
Because
All right.
my first one and a lot of statistics have shown girls tend to be more piercing, closer to parents. When they get married, they bring home another son. Yeah, so I'm delighted. Sister and sister, I think they are a lot closer as well. Um,
Mm.
I guess this also um, is an act of God, lah, how they want my life to be.
So let me bring you back to the time that you first became a father. How did you feel and what was going through your mind at that time?
I must say I am a lucky man with a very diligent, systematic wife. She got me prepared to be a father maybe like 1 or 2 years before the actual event. Obviously, we attended like prenatal classes and we talk about it heavily on this topic. I think that obviously make me a lot more ready for the difficult time to come. And obviously, sometimes the difficult part comes with all this little process of or how to change diaper. Maybe I personally heard a story about a neighbor lah. How he don't know how to change diaper. He cannot stand the smell of baby poop. Like he ended up he vomit every single time he does it. So I'm not so sure whether it's just psychological or any other reason. So he became a very ill-prepared father in that sense lah. So with that experience from my neighbor, I realized, hey, I think the only thing a lot of things can be done in a systematic manner. We go for classes, we get ourselves prepared. So when the Big Bang came, right, the baby pop, yeah, I realized, hey, actually just follow some of the typical process and things will be in order. So I had it easy.
It's like SOP, right? You just do this, that, one, two, three.
Yeah, and not think too much about wow, when things messed up, when the poop leak, right? I guess sometimes it's a way to say, hey, what I learned in class is different from what really happens, right? But then you just
That's
have to,
true.
you know,
Correct. You have to just respond to it, adapt to it, right? And yeah, I think this thing about, baby poop, uh, I think it's natural. Most people can take it, some people cannot, just like some people cannot stand the sight of blood, all right? So it's just how they're wired, I guess. So after so many years of being a father, if I ask you to summarize fatherhood into one sentence, okay, one sentence, not one word, one sentence, what would you say? This is fatherhood.
wow, okay, nothing's perfect. As much as we plan the stages to be of a certain way, it often turns out to be otherwise. The question is always about how to have that 1% improvement every single day. such that, when it comes to the parenting part, especially I'm a father, part, right? I no longer, I won't feel that, hey, my kids are not progressing. Likewise, I'm also not progressing as a father. I think that was a part that was a turning point for me lah, when sometimes I thought myself like, hey, how come I talk to my girl to let her buy in some idea? That eventually next day it's the same back old problem, right? Then I get demoralized. Then I tell myself maybe I did it wrongly. After all, I personally realize it's not like that. They get it, just that they get it a bit slower. They need a second day of reinforcement, then a third day of reminder. Then by the time the 1% improvement reach the seventh day, so that the whole journey will be 7% better lah. Then miraculously, by the time the 1 year later, 365 days later, I realized, oh wow, actually my girl have registered that point, 365% better than the year before already. I think with that, that got me in a way continuously motivated that what I did the day before is not wrong. It just more it become better. I think that's how fatherhood become eventful and fun. It's a constant process.
I think what you just described is that change takes time.
Mm.
Change is a process. As I talk to parents, it's a temptation for us. We tend to see, expect change immediately, right? I tell you to do something, you do it now. I tell you to stop this, you stop it now. But no, change is a process. Even for us, we have bad habits and we try to change. And that's why we have this thing called New Year resolutions. I hope you are already fulfilling some of them, right? But how many of us actually begin to work on our New Year's resolution, right? So if we struggle to even begin to change, then is it realistic? Is it fair to expect our children to change just like that? So it's something, and I think you're beginning experiencing, right? That when you see your child progressing, right, changing, learning new things, becoming a better person, having better behavior, character, attitude. That's the rewarding part, right? And you say, okay, all the heartache, the headaches is now worthwhile.
Certainly. Well, I mean, as all human beings, we get a lot of motivation from seeing real result, right? Obviously, some of these results takes longer time. Sometimes you don't even know whether you'll come.
That's right.
Yeah, sometimes
And
you don't. Yeah, because
sometimes you have to wait years for it.
yeah. I mean, as a fairly young father now, compared to some of those whose kids are already in the 20+ year old and they're already getting married, they often look back and say, hey, patient. The gratification will come later.
Yeah, that's true. And they're actually telling the truth. It's just that when you are just beginning or you're in the midst of it, it's hard to imagine, will my child actually change? I mean, he has been like that for years.
Mm.
Well, it can.
Yeah, in fact, when you said this, right, it got me thinking about a Netflix show that I just watched yesterday night about Bill Gates. So interesting. I mean, he's showing you a life journey of how he was. He was a true blue nerd. His mother had a hard time with him because he always hide in his room to read books. The mother is the total opposite. Is an extrovert who constantly engage in many social activities because she believed in relationship building, and he is the nerd, technical and all that stuff. It was a struggle. I can see. Wow, I think the mother almost want to kiss already. Look, I think the turning point was sometimes it will happen when there was one fine day he just mature and say, okay, maybe I should follow my mother to go out and to attend this particular event. And he was made to be a greeter, stand by the door and greet everybody. He hated it, but in years to come, he appreciated it. He got him to be a bit more social. With
That's
technique.
right.
Yeah, and then eventually, I guess, boys flourish at a much later age than girls.
What kind of parenting style or discipline style or method have you found to work for you and your wife?
Maybe it hasn't worked yet, still work in progress. It's
But I'm sure some are more successful than the others, right? For example, do you believe in spanking?
it's always a constant tussle between the stick and the carrot. Obviously, so much content has been said about the effectiveness of going slow, talk, carrot. I am still leaning towards the stick way. Obviously, may not be a physical stick, all right. But to really implement consequences, the hard way. Uh, of I remember recently my daughter had a very serious disciplinary issue, so serious that all parents agree with me, wow, this one jialat, very jialat. So at that time, I was trying to explain to her what would be the implication of her this wrongdoing, right? And I lead her to say this wrongdoing in a typical adult world, it will go to jail.
Wow, so serious.
It is serious. So that also means she need to realize that, hey, what is jail? What is the implication of going to jail? So that was the moment when I had this creative moment. I need to use the stick way, yet to let her in a way experience it, right? So I implemented a jail in my house.
Okay, simulation.
Simulation. So my storeroom is hot, it's windowless. It's not a place you want to be in there even more than an hour. I got her to be there for 3 days.
My goodness, continuously?
Yeah, 3 days. So in that 3 days, she really experienced the meaning of being enclosed. She don't get to leave the room unless she's given the permission to go have a shower. Food will be only given to her via the door, and she have to consume it behind the door. Constantly, you could tell that first day it was discomfort. Second day, she really got used to it. But obviously, it's not a place that she want to be, but every day, every night she's sweating and all that. Um, I think the real learning happens when you go through discomfort, and the implications you know that jialat, or this is what will happen. Then I slowly
Mm.
midnight I will have a moment of reflection to say that this is what the real world will be like. Is that something you want to go through? Then slowly thinking. So by the time the third day release from jail, could tell that this is something that she'll remember for life.
Okay, okay. That is, I'm sure, will be a lifelong lesson. It will never leave her mind.
Yeah, yeah. In fact, likewise
Okay.
me when I became the prison warden, right? It was also something very interesting for me. Because I'm trying to tweak myself how to be harsh because I'm a prison warden, but yet a good one that talk to the inmate, try to reform them through some of the learnings,
Mm.
experiences that like a real good prison warden would do. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it was also a fun process for me.
Well, if children can choose their parents, I wouldn't choose you.
I, I I'm very certain. When I told that to my friend, right? Most of them is a moment of disbelief, like cannot do this. But afterwards, I start to realize that hey, actually that might be a good idea. Actually, what my friend tried.
With your permission, I'll share with a few fathers and get their feedback and says, would you do this? Would you recommend doing this? Okay, I'll do a poll and find out how other fathers feel about this.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. It's very interesting. Okay. I'll be thinking about this for the rest of the day. You can be sure of that. Okay. You and your wife, how do you parent as a team? What are some of the, difficulties, challenges that, the two of you have faced, and how have you tried and succeeded maybe to overcome?
First, never conflict each other. But particularly when my wife, she's in charge of the academic department, and obviously my wife is a lot better than I do. Whatever she say, she implement all that. I would be just watching. I never ever wants to interrupt or say against her idea. Likewise, this idea caught on in the other aspect, like when I'm disciplining the girls, like my wife never ever stopped me. Although sometimes I can go a bit too strong and harsh, my wife will not stop me at the moment, and she will often reminded me to go a bit easy after that moment. So I think with this, I think my kids could sense that to listen to either one of us at that moment. They can never seek consolation from the other party because we are very consistent.
Mm.
Yeah. So I think with
Yeah.
that, I also felt quite relieved lah. So at least I don't have my wife kind of disturbed and ended up. I also don't know whether 做好人还是做坏人, right? The good person or bad person, right? Because I just,
Yeah.
at the moment I do what I think is necessary lah.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes parents, have this savior mentality, right? No, 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 they'll come in and stand in between I guess it's a protective instinct. But I think, yeah, that's a very important point, right? That you present a single front to the kids so that there's consistency. And after that, do you all talk about it? For example, if you object, you think you shouldn't have done that, or you did, went a bit too far. Do you have a conversation about that between you and your wife?
Uh, yes. It's always my wife to me lah, because I'm the one. My wife, she's very good with her style. Most of the time when she do it, I trust she know what she's doing. So very few moment I need to correct her in that sense lah.
Mm,
But yes, we do talk about it at night. I think at night, once all of us are very rested, about to sleep, I think that's a good reflection moment, no? To talk over pillow that, hey, maybe these are things that, shouldn't be so harsh and all that. Then I guess the next day, then we are also improving as a parent, no?
yeah,
Yeah,
that's important. I think that also helps build the marriage when you talk about things rather than keep it and says, he always like that. He's so, harsh and so, mean. So you begin to build all these negative impressions about your partner,
yeah,
right? Yeah,
that's
and it's all because of parenting, but then it spills over into the marriage.
that's true.
So,
Yeah, what you say is absolutely right. Because particularly men, right? Men tend to bottle up,
mm,
and don't talk. I think that's how things fester and become worse, right? Obviously, when we talk over the pillow side, we had a release. What you feel that day is all being released. Then whether it's improvement or not, of course, God knows, right? Next day, then we see how we can improve. You're right. That release is a great way to continue our strong marriage.
now, how about you say you're a property agent. So yes, it's a very competitive, very, I know a few property agents, and I tell you, they don't work 9 to 5, right?
Uh,
Actually, the peak hours, the peak time is in the evenings.
yeah.
Wow. So how do you balance work and family?
This is a constant struggle, because as far as time is concerned, I must say it's really grueling. Like what you say, like, it's not 9 to 5. Very often it's 9 to 5, and it continue into the night. And on critical days, right, I finish out my work at 2:30, together with my client in their house to sign a contract. Yeah,
2:30 a.m.
2:30 a.m.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, what unearthly hour to do work, right? But in the interest of my client who needed to have closure on that deal, and only that night they're free. All right. Sometimes we tend to talk and discussion get long lah. In order to be very thorough with our work. So 2:30 can be the morning that I come back home. Uh, so in terms of hours wise, the bad thing is very long. The good thing is very flexible. So there are a lot of magic moment where uh, I I balance fatherhood and also a property agent by doing two concurrently. Like just recently, I knew I need to do a work in River Valley, so I tell my kids, okay, let's go to uh what's that? Great World City for lunch. So I do my father role there, have a good lunch, chat. Then I say, okay, I'm going off right now. All right, then I'll be coming back 2 hours later. So in a sense, that moment I able to do both, good agent work, and then also I fulfill my role as a father for being there with them on the weekend, and not always shuttling them between for tuition. Yeah.
Mm,
But I guess over time, my kids start to understand that it's not the number of hours I need to be with them. In fact, when I'm going to leave the home at night, my girl come back to me, I mean, come out to me and give me a hug, partly because I insist. Lah. Right. They also
Or
understand.
else.
Yeah, if I need to go, I need to go. But I think back to this old saying, quality time matters.
Mm,
Yeah, so they remember me for all the crazy stuff I do that usually father do not want to bring them to do. For example, I bring them to go camping, go East Coast Park, pitch tent. Most of my fellow friends will say, yeah, so hot, so uncomfortable, where got no aircon. But I guess this kind of activity, a lot of discomfort. They shower in cold water, the toilet is very messy, East Coast Park, right?
yeah.
But that was the moment when they wake up in the morning, they felt, hey, wow, I wake up to sunset. Sorry, sunrise in East Coast Park. The jogger and the cyclist will just walk right, right and run past our tent. And things like this, they remembered. And I'm very thankful that they see that as quality time spent.
Mm. Wow, it's so unfortunate you don't have a son. I'm sure the son would really enjoy
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that.
Yeah, true. The side do all the football stuff, right? Men's.
Correct, correct. Okay, I've been asking you all these questions, so I'm going to give you a privilege of asking me one question. What question do you have for me?
Hey, if there's one magic pill that can
Uh-huh.
contain one criteria to make a good parent, what would be that magic pill be?
Maturity.
Uh,
Okay, let me explain. We are all growing, right? Even at 40 years old, we are still growing. 50 years old, we still got things to learn. We still got things to deal with, our emotional baggages, whatever, certain bad experiences, unresolved issues. We all have it. All right. There is not a person in this world, no matter how old you are, that does not have something to work on. I think you agree, right? We are all work in progress. Somehow, as parents, we begin to see that, hey, my job is to raise this child, you know? And so our focus is on the child's behavior, the child's character, the child's attitudes. And, we keep spotting them, spotting their flaws, their shortcomings, and correcting them. But then we forget to look at ourselves, that we too have things to work on. All right. Our short fuse, for example, why are we impatient? Why can't we be a bit more patient? Why can't we be a bit more gentle? All right. And things like that. Why do we have so many hot buttons or trigger points? All right. When the child does something, when something happens, it immediately triggers us. Where did these triggers come from? All right. Most of them from the past. So if you have triggers, it tells you you have unresolved issues and you should be working on them. And if you are not working on them, it affects your ability to parent your child and be the parent that your child needs you to be. At the same time, it also prevents you from being the spouse that your spouse needs you to be. In my workshop, I constantly remind parents that, if parenting has not changed you, then you probably have done it wrong. Okay, so it is out there are two outcomes. Our children, yes, we want to raise them well. We want them to become independent, kind, uh, uh, considerate people, street smart and blah blah blah. A lot of things, it's like iPhone with so many features, right? But at the same time, parenting is not for perfect people, but parenting perfects people, right? It perfects us. So I always encourage parents to see parenting as part of their personal growth and development process. Okay, you don't have to go to any life coach or these kinds of things. Just see this whole role as a parent as part of your personal growth and development. Let it challenge you. Let it reveal to you some of these, areas that needs to grow. You need to change. You need to work on, right? Let it stretch you, for example, in terms of patience, in terms and let it help you build more skills, like communication skills. Sometimes when we give instructions to our children, it's so short. In our minds, we understand what it comprises, but we say it so short, in such a short form, and we expect our children to be able to decode it and what do you call it, decrypt it, all right, and then understand everything that we are thinking. No, our children cannot read our mind. So we need to communicate better so that our children understand and will be more able to do what we tell them to do. So very often they don't do everything we tell them to do is because we didn't tell them everything we're thinking. Yeah. So communication is one, compromise is another, and many, many other things. So yes, this is to sum it all up, it's about maturing. Okay, that we need to grow up a bit, and keep growing. We grow with our children, and when our children sees that we are willing to address some of these personal issues, they are also encouraged to do that. They say, hey, this is normal. We are, nobody is perfect. So let's keep working on things that we have discovered about ourselves.
Tonight, I will definitely look for that pill and pop it right away.
Yeah, it can be a bitter pill for some people.
Uh, yeah, yeah, yeah. However bitter, at least we know it's a good and the right medicine, right?
It is the right medicine, yes. It's a supplement you need to take every day, I guess.
Mhm.
Okay, Chris, thank you again for taking the time and being willing to share so openly about your fathering journey and the things that you have done and learned in the process. So thank you very much.
So much, Parcsen, for having this opportunity as well. Thank you so much.